Good morning, you badass motherfuckers. It's the results. Kill excuses. The morning drinking show. I'm your host, Greg. Getting back on this motherfucker once again. Getting back on here. Because we doing life. We doing life, right? How we doing out there, people? How you doing? Anybody dealing with some challenging situations right now? Or is everybody's life just smooth as butter, right? Smooth as a baby's bottom. Can you even say that nowadays? How do I know how smooth the baby's bottom is? I don't think you can really say a whole lot nowadays, right? Everybody's always tongue tied in 23, right? We don't want to get deleted, right? We don't want to get canceled. That's the new word for 23, right? Canceled. Motherfuckers speaking their truth, they get canceled, right? You can't speak your truth, can't offend nobody, right? Can't say nothing like that. I'm grateful to get on here today. So, wet and rainy day today, where I'm at here in northern New Mexico. Wherever you're at today, I hope that you're doing life with intention, right? That's the whole point of this show. That's where my heart goes out to each and every person that I've ever reached on this show, whether you listen for 1 second or the whole entire duration of all this shit talking. Um, it's an energy game. It's an energy transfer, right? I'm coming to you live, unrehearsed, unscripted, because why? Why? Why do I keep getting back on this, right? Because I got a message. I know what it is to turn my life around. I know what it is to go through those dark nights of the soul, man. Just wanting to end it all, man. Delete, and yet getting through, man. Getting from one day to the next, right? Some days crawling, some days can't even get out of bed, man. I just want to stay curled up, right? Some days you just got to show up, right? Play the part, right? Act the part to just get through it, man, because you just can't let anybody get into that deeper aspect of you. The eyes always tell you, man. The eyes. If you really look inside someone's eyes, you can see, man. You can see what's really going on, right? I'll be honest, when you post pictures, I'm looking in your eyes just to really see, man, is this person filled with light and love and joy and peace, or is this person, you know, got something else going on inside of there, man? And it's tough because guess what? Most of us got a lot of shit going on the inside. And it's really hard to want to pause and realize that, accept that as being the truth. That we ain't perfect. Unless being perfectly fucked up is a standard, right? We all have made mistakes. We all wish we could do things different or could have done things different. And a lot of us, we beat ourselves up, man. And I'm first in line on that list to just wish, man, God, I go through all of the mistakes, right? That have caused me pain, that have even caused me to hurt others. And man, I wish nothing more than I wish I could just like wave the magic wand and make it just all go away. Just, but that's not life. Life is truly about accepting the fullness of who you are, the fullness of what you've experienced. And that's really growth. That's really actually, to me, that's maturity. That's where your maturity starts to take place. And age is not where maturity is established. You could be 40, 50, 60, 70 years old and you could still be very immature. And it's not that you're immature, it's just that your inner child, right, is still very much hurt, is very much still in pain, mentally, emotionally, right? And that inner child, right, wants validation, really is just seeking acceptance, right? unconditional love and comfort from the adult version of yourself, right? From the parent version of yourself, not the critic, right? We all got this inner critic that just continues to just beat ourselves up, man. And I've been really meditating, and it's really today's topic is what's your starting point, right? What's your starting point? There's a lot of you that just need to start something new. I like to say you need to finish the starting line. Did you hear that? Finish the starting line. There's so many of us, and I remember at times in my life where I would see something that I would really, really, really want to do, and yet I would be hesitant, fearful, doubtful. I'd overthink it, man. I'd hype myself up. I'd get myself all right, overwhelmed, right, with fear and doubt and insecurity, lack of confidence, not feeling worthy, and yet I wouldn't do it. Um, in many cases, because I'm such a survivor, right, and that's just part of my story. Is I've had to, I've always had to fight the tough fights. I remember even just if I think back to like high school, for whatever reason, the energy on me, I would always, either turn people on. Like I turn people on. They'd either be like attracted to me or they'd be fucking like attracted against me, right? Wanting to fight. And I can just remember time and time again, like, I think we back. Are we back? Fuck. That's technology sometimes. Maybe we back, maybe we not back. I can't tell. Let me see. I think we're back. We'll see. Those of you that meant to see the extended version, welcome back. Welcome back, motherfuckers. We just keep letting the good times roll. But again, it's that starting point. I'm gonna get back to it. My train of thought looks like maybe from the weather and some technological Wi-Fi issues. It is what the fuck it is. That's sometimes what happens when you go live, right? Unrehearsed, right? Just speaking from the heart, man. This shit don't even phase me because it flows like a river, as I just saw 1010. So thank you. Thank you, God. Thank you for this message. Let's go. The starting point, man. So many of you, as with me, I used to hype myself up, man. I used to be super, super, I would psych myself out, right? To finish the starting line. There was something that I would see, right? Potential, opportunity, right? A different version, a better fucking version of myself. And I know a lot of you listening and watching this shit, you know that there's something in your life that you need to improve, that you can improve. You don't need to do shit, man. Keep doing you. Ain't nobody telling you to do nothing, man. Right? But I can tell you that that inner voice inside of you, your intuition, that inner voice inside of you is showing you potential. It's showing you who you could be, who you truly are called to be, your purpose in this life. And the reason why we feel so disconnected from it is because we are sitting right now, wherever you're at right now, right? That is what your reality is. The construct of everything that you have been through, all of the battles, all the heartbreak, all the losses, all the grief, all the pain, right? All the letdowns, all the failures, all the fuck ups, all the mistakes, right? We don't even really like to chalk up the wins so much. We do, but not to the degree that our wins from 20 years ago in high school or wherever the fuck, college, from yesteryear, that shit doesn't propel us into the future as much as we wish. Because at some point it hit a blockade, right? We didn't make it to the pros. We didn't make it to the big leagues. Life fucking threw us for a fucking curveball breaker, and we had to land up doing something else, going and getting a job, a real job that wasn't really even what we love to do. And yet here we are right now today, right? And I know that those of you that are watching this shit on a regular basis, or at least tuning in new, welcome, right? I keep getting on here because I care. I genuinely care for those people that are getting on here that I'm reaching. And I believe we all have this calling in us. Not everybody has a calling to get on and talk, right? But you do have a calling to inspire people through what? Your actions, not your words, right? And you got to be able to realize and be honest with yourself. What is your starting point? And here's the deal. Your starting point has to be at the absolute truest of truth of who you are or what is happening in your life right now. Right now, if you are wanting to do something new, right? Whether you are wanting to, increase and improve your financial fitness, increase and improve your physical fitness, right? Your nutritional fitness, right? Your mental health. I mean, there's so many areas that we can improve as human beings, right? You want to just improve your relationships with other people, right? Starting with your kids, if you're a parent, right? Starting with your ex, right? If you're having a co-parent, right? There's a lot of people out there that need to improve in that area. And the only way that you're going to improve, from my opinion, right? This is my opinion. You take it for what it's worth, right? I'm entitled to my opinion. You're entitled to yours. Here has been my experience, though, is it has to start with truth. And what happens to so many people is we start something new, but we don't start with truth. We think we're courageous when we are actually full of fear. So we're telling ourselves, I'm a courageous person. And then you go and start doing stuff, and then you're scared as fuck. Thus, you give up. Where's the courage? Right? We tell ourselves that, man, I'm a good person. I'm an awesome person. I'm an amazing person. Then we start something, and then what happens? The cracks inside of us start to reveal themselves. Maybe you're not so awesome. Maybe you are a little shady. Maybe you are full of bullshit. Maybe you aren't so honest, right? About who you are and about how you tell your story in life, what you've really done, right? Because we don't want to be rejected. We want acceptance. And so it's much easier for us to bullshit others and tell the lies, right? And that's why I put that shit right there front and center, man. because that's the most embarrassing picture that's ever been taken of me. I take a lot of pictures of myself and people probably get envious and jealous and all this bullshit. I hear it, right? Y'all don't smash the likes. You're like, look at this guy. Who does he think he is? But look at that. Look at that, motherfuckers. Can you post your worst picture right now? Maybe it don't have to be you fucking getting checked into jail. But why don't you instead of the face shot with the filters, why don't you post a whole fucking full body shot of you, right? A full body shot of who you are. There's a lot of false advertising out there, folks. We lying about who we are. We got all these filters. We got all this bullshit, right? And it's crazy because like we're 23, man. Everybody has like a really professional high-end camera if you got a smartphone nowadays. So someone like me that I've won awards for being a photographer, right? I stopped really pushing photography because everybody thinks they're a professional photographer now. Because y'all got really high-end cameras in these smartphones. It's crazy how that technology's come. But man, when you see people, right? And let me be honest with you, it's mostly the girls. It's mostly you women, right? You're using these filters, right? You're afraid to do anything from the waist down, right? But you're telling yourself you're beautiful, right? Okay, great. You're beautiful on the inside. But are you really? Are you telling yourself that you're truly beautiful? Because most of y'all that aren't proud of your body, that aren't proud of what you are on the external, right? You can try and bullshit people and say, oh, yes, I'm just beautiful on the inside, me and the Lord, right? And that's lies because 99% of the rest of your internal dialogue is not that. You're the critic. You're your biggest enemy. And because your starting point is based in lies, you're not willing to just look in the mirror, look on the scale and say, look who I am. And it's not until you get to the truth of who you are, right? Be a judge. Judge yourself. So many of us, we're so scared to be judged by others. But we're sitting there, we judge ourselves. But how can you truly change if you can't be honest with who you truly are? Right? And that's the problem with so many people, that you don't truly realize that growth and get past those points of resistance on this healing spiritual journey called life, because you can't even get honest with yourself about who you are, what you have become. The beautiful thing is you don't got to stay there, but you have to be honest, right? I had to tell myself I'm a drunk motherfucker and I'm tired of being that. One of the most powerful journaling exercises, right, that I've done in this last 3 years, call it 3+ years, when I really started engaging in journaling on a regular basis, the most powerful exercise that I ever did. And I did this because I was really trying to build self-confidence. And I know so many of us, we need self-confidence, right? We truly lack self-esteem, self-confidence, right? And where does that come from? Because look, you tell yourself you're going to get in bed, you're going to be a healthier person, and you're not a healthier person, right? I'm over here coaching a handful of people, and it's like they're no different than most of the rest of y'all, going to social events, doing all this stuff. And it's just temptation, 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 temptation. To do what? Go back to who the fuck they were, right? They say, hey, I want to change my life. I want to be healthier. I want to be fit and fabulous and all this beauty and sexy. And I want to feel great about myself. And I want to see that scale reflect how I want, what I believe I can be, not what I've become. And yet they keep putting themselves in the same fucking fire. In order to change into something and grow into something new, you got to let go. You got to let go of your past. You got to change your patterns and your habits. But so many of us, we are so habitual that we say, but wait, I won't be as popular. I won't be able to accomplish these other things if I don't continue down this path. And it's like, no. Right? That's narrow thinking. That's really you trying to control the outcomes of life. And that's something that I've been really challenged with of late, is trying to say, I've been literally meditating for about the past week and a half very intently on how do I align myself with the flow. Do you know how we talk a lot about has anybody ever heard this saying, right? Just go with the flow, right? And a lot of times I've always kind of joked that I always go against the grain, right? The river's going this way and I'm paddling upstream, right? I'm trying to do things harder. And what I'm starting to realize is just there's different rivers. There's different flows that you can be a part of. There's a flow that's like the lazy river, right? And then there's the flow that's like divine alignment, right? And you can't be in the lazy river and in divine alignment. You can't have both. You can't continue following the patterns of the past that caused you to balloon into a fat and nasty human being, very unhealthy, with lots of health issues, only getting worse, and then say, hey, I'm going to continue maintaining that same lifestyle that I had before I started to make a decision to change my health and my health nutritional habits, right? When you make that decision, it's just like when I switched from being a fucking alcoholic, right? I didn't continue to go and fucking hit bars and happy hours and hang out with all my friends that are still drinking and getting drunk. I couldn't do it. I had to separate. I had to separate from that shit. Right. And I'm so grateful that I did. Right. And along the path, almost 11 years of sobriety from alcohol. Right. I mean, I don't go to bars. Have I been to a few bars? Yeah. Over 11 years. Yes. But very few bars. The only time that I've really gone to a bar, I mean, really, I can only think maybe a couple times that I've like gone late night after hours, like into like a clubbing bar scene. But even then, that don't work for me. I don't have no business really being out in the social scene of debauchery and bullshit after 10 o'clock at night, man. I'd much rather fucking get a solid night's rest, wake up in the morning, ready to live my best life, not needing to recover, not needing to sleep until 10 o'clock in the morning, and then fucking, scratching the fucking hair on the dog's ass or whatever the fuck they say when you're all hungover, right? Feeling like shit, trying to rehydrate or just do it again. That's not, I can't do that. That's fucking insanity for me. But as I chose to get sober, right? I couldn't keep hanging out with my drunk friends. I couldn't keep going to places that served alcohol. And I had to distance myself like really hard, like zero exposure to those things for probably at least like the first 2 years until I was really rooted in my sobriety to say, okay, I can go to an event where there's some alcohol being served. And one, I don't have my own personal temptation. And two, right, I can tolerate those people that are engaged in that, because that's a whole nother issue, man. I don't like being around drunk people. And we had that stuff going on here at the motel this past weekend because we're doing weddings and we got a liquor license and I'm going to be overseeing a bar. And it's like, it conflicts with me. I don't really like being around drunk people, period. I don't really have a lot of tolerance for it. To this day, 11 years. I've even had intimate partners, right, that are still sort of drinkers that kind of realize that I'm non-alcoholic. And then they ask, well, like, how are you going to feel if I invite you to go out to a social thing and I'm drinking? Are you going to want to kiss me and do that kind of stuff? And like, I've really had to really evaluate that, right? Can I really be with someone that still likes to party and drink socially or drink to unwind? And the answer is probably like, it's not the best. There may be some exceptions, but I think ideally I'd prefer someone that's just non-alcoholic, man, that don't need the drink, right? That just much rather get high on fucking life. Go out and do adventures and live life to the fullest and have a healthy body and a healthy mind, right? Healthy nutrition. Like that matters to me. I want someone that's very active, health oriented because I don't want to slip. I want to keep this going, this journey of health and nutrition and wellness, high quality of life going until the end of the day, man, until it's all said and done. And I know that if I choose to do life with somebody, right, that the more aligned that they are with that, the more likely it is to succeed because we're going to be, you know, equally yoked and challenging each other to just like continue to be active and to get out there and stay after it. And that's a beautiful thing. And so I know a lot of people are challenged, right? With just even getting started because what? We're comfortable, we're complacent. We want what we know, and what we know is what we've got right now. And it's sad because a lot of us have been through a lot of trauma. A lot of us have been through a lot of bullshit, that chaos and trauma and fucking fighting and toxic behavior patterns is normal. And when you're around someone that's healthy, it's like it's uncomfortable because you're like, I need to create drama here. I need to create tension between us. We need to have a fight because that's just your normal. But then that's the starting point. You need to realize that that's a lot of you. So many people want to blame the other person. Oh, this person's narcissist. The law of attraction says like attracts like. So if you're sitting there saying, my partner, my ex-partner was a narcissist, honestly, you need to get honest with yourself and say, hey, how much narcissism do you got? Because like attracts like. Period. There's no, like, you can't avoid that. That is a law of this universe, right? So if you are seeing something in somebody that's irritating you, that brings out bitterness, unsweetness, frustration within you, I'm telling you, challenge me on this. Believe what you want. But that stuff that you are seeing in someone else, it's in you. And it's not until you get to a place where you don't judge it, where you don't no longer need to control other people, right? I said this earlier this week, right? That if someone seems to like trigger you, irritate you, frustrate you, and you really care about this person, you're attracted to this person, but they're not willing to change, they're just going to keep doing this pattern, well, then you got to change the person. By not changing the person, you change the person that you're dealing with. And that's sometimes very hard because, again, we attach ourselves energetically and emotionally to other people. Very few people on this planet can truly sit in their own self, can be rooted in themselves. And that's really been this journey for me, which is crazy because I've had a pattern of trauma bonding and codependency probably from the time I was born. Stress hormones going through my body, right? With the shit my mother, right, went through just even when before I was even born, all the bullshit, all the abuse, all this crazy crap. And then it just gets worse. And then we trauma bond because of the abuse and the violence and the shit that we had to live through and survive. And then there creates codependency, right? And it's like that shit has played itself out throughout my whole entire life, man. So I'll tell you what, this last year and a half has been probably the most challenging time of my life. Because I have truly had to sit there and get honest with myself. I can't bullshit myself no more. I told you guys this. This ain't just saying I'm done bullshitting myself and I'm done bullshitting other people. Right? I no longer am worried about what you think about me, what you find out about me, whatever your opinion of me is, right? But I'm telling you right here, right now, your job is not to change me. My job is not to change you. You got to want to change yourself. You got to want to listen to the voice inside your body and your mind and your spirit that is showing you that there's a greater version of yourself, that there is growth, right? But it doesn't just come smooth and easy. Growth comes on the other side of challenges, adversity, struggle, right? And that's the journey. But so many of us, we check the fuck out of life. We don't want to have challenges. And thus we have even more challenges. Did you hear that? The more that you are like resistant to challenges of life, that you're like, man, I don't want it to be a hard day. Oh, I hate hard days. Oh, I don't want challenges. Why can't it just be easy for me? If you're someone that kind of has that internal dialogue, right? You are so resistant. Thus, the universe says, here it comes, man. I'm giving you double dose. And it's fucked, right? That's kind of fucked up, don't you think? I think it's fucked up. That the universe works like that God works like that. That's the design. That's the spiritual design. But that's the law of attraction. The more that you say, I don't want something, the more you get it. It's not until you say, come on. All right, I'm done resisting. I'm done resisting. I don't care how big the challenge is. I don't care how hard or difficult the day is. I'm going to choose to be positive. I'm going to be a warrior. I'm going to push through it. I'm going to overcome. I'm going to outlast the pain. I am going to succeed. I will not quit. I will not stop. I will move forward no matter what. That's what it takes. It takes that mentality to say, bring it. Bring it, universe. Bring it. The bigger the challenge, the bigger the fucking breakthrough. I say that all the time, man. If you are going through fucking hell on earth, mentally and emotionally speaking, most of y'all ain't even seen what physical hell on earth is. And I have, because I do disaster response. I've been to hurricanes. I've been to tornado disaster areas, man. People's whole lives destroyed. Physically speaking, most of y'all got houses that are a mess because you allow it to be a mess. Because your mind and your body and your emotions and your energy is all a mess. But really, if you fucking take a step back, everything is actually exactly the way it should be. And when I say it's exactly the way it should be, is meaning there is all this work for you to do, that if you would just stop resisting and saying, man, I just want it to be easier. Can't I just get a break? Why does it have to be so hard? Why can't I ever get ahead? The way you get ahead is by investing and fixing and cleaning and organizing your mind, your emotions, your spirit, and your body. By leveling up, by embracing challenge, by looking at your circumstances and saying, this sucks, but knowing that you can change it for the better, right? I've always been a believer that right? The lower you are in the fucking pit, that means there's only one direction when you hit rock bottom. It's up. Very few of us are at the top of the mountain right now of life. Because guess what I've always seen on the top of every single mountain, and I've climbed a lot of mountains and there's still a lot more to climb. That's my point. Even if you think you're at the top of the mountain, the one thing I've always learned from the top of every peak that I've ever summited, guess what? There's always another peak. There's always another mountain. So even if you think you're on the top, that you've reached the pinnacle, if you're honest with yourself, there's still more. Which really tells you, look, that is life. I was kind of having a chit chat conversation with a guy that just retired recently, and I've started reading a book. It's Japanese, and I don't want to eviscerate the name, but it's like Ikigai. And The Japanese don't even have a word for retirement. They believe that you live full life. It's only here in the West where we just have this fucking grind and hustle and bustle mentality that we have to have this phase of life called retirement, which I think a lot of people are waking up and starting to realize, like, man, I'm not gonna wait until I'm like old, like older, 60s, 70s to actually explore the world or do life. I want to do life now. Now you should be doing life every single day. You should be living a full life. But if your whole thing is to just say, man, I want to just get to retirement, it's like a lot of people, they actually start having like significantly worse health issues when they hit retirement because their productivity and their minds and their bodies have actually kind of checked out. And yet my desire for my own journey is that I'm going to just keep living life to the fullest every single day. I do desire to have total freedom, unconditional love, and unlimited wealth. I mean, those are three of my own personal goals that I'm working towards, that I'm visualizing, that I'm realizing, holy shit, for me to really manifest and bring that stuff about, I can't sit around and just wait for shit to happen. But I did talk about alignment and getting in the flow, cosmic divine flow, where when you truly find your zone of genius, right? This gift inside of you that just flows. It flows. It's your creative gifts, right? So many of us, we don't count ourselves worthy to actually use those gifts to really manifest our dream lives. Because we've been trained that you got to have that job, that you got to punch that clock and work for someone else and build their business up. And this other thing that you're so passionate and in love with doing, that's just a hobby. That's just something that you're going to get to do every once in a while. And I used to be of that philosophy, saying, man, like, yes, you want to have options, but at the end of the day, right? Sure, you want to be a responsible human being, right? If you got bills to pay, you got financial responsibilities, yeah, you got to cover that stuff. But what are you willing to sacrifice when you're not focused on that to start building these other areas of your life up so that you can eventually just gracefully free yourself from that and then just go down the flow and the path that you're truly called to do, which gives you what? Freedom, right? Which gives you the ability to be creative and inspirational in all the things you do, knowing that you're worthy of that. But you got to be willing to let go and at least have a plan to say, hey, if I'm here now, you got to be honest with yourself. If you really are like exhausted from your job, from your career, you got to be honest with yourself and say, man, I'm exhausted. And yeah, maybe you're 5 years away from retirement. Do you think you're going to be less exhausted if you just hustle, fucking stick it out for 5 more years? Maybe, probably. But how do you know that you even make it 5 more years? I talked yesterday about how a lot of people, right, they laugh at the idea of getting rich quick. But the truth of the matter is in the business world, getting rich quick is 5 to 10 years. So even if you were to say, look, I know that I'm kind of exhausted with doing what I do on a regular, my job I've invested all these years in, but I really want to start investing some time and energy, right? Because most of us focus on the 9 to 5, Dolly Parton, right? But it's really about that 5 to 9. What are you doing after work? What are you doing before work, right? The 5 to 9, right? And the other 5 to 9. There's 2 5s to 9s. One is early in the morning, one's late at night. What are you doing with those blocks? Those are starting points. And that's a lot of opportunity. A lot of you just check out, man. You know you're just checked out. You're watching the tube, you're watching other motherfuckers make millions, and then you're wondering why you're not getting ahead, why nothing's really changing in your life. But you have low energy, low self-confidence because you continue to just set aside your own goals, set aside your own potential to just consume and watch things as opposed to actually doing things. Realizing that, man, just turn that shit off. Turn it off. And start working on you. Right? Maybe some of y'all need to get a personal trainer. Maybe some of y'all need to get a health coach. Maybe some of you just need to go and clean your fucking house up. Do some spring cleaning. Let go of some stuff that you know you're just not using. Donate a bunch of clothes and all this. Start clearing out your closets. Letting things go. Airing things out. I've been all about this minimalism. Like my true dream and desire is to just have a minimalist life. To have spaces that are very depersonalized and just allow me to free flow through it so that I don't have this attachment to stuff. How many of us have such attachment to stuff, whether it's like our cars, our houses, or even just things that we hang on the wall, our furniture, certainly our clothes. It's like stuff, man. We're so identified by stuff. But man, when you just strip down naked, right? How attached are you to that body that you're walking around in? Because that's the true jewel of it all, right? This body, this mind, these emotions, the spirit inside of you. That's the real investment. But you have to be honest with yourself about where you are mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Those are the 4 elements that need to be harmonized in your life. Some of y'all are just so spiritually strong. Your bodies look like shit. You're not a good example, right? Oh, but it's not like that in heaven. Well, you ain't in heaven. You're down here on earth. It's dense. You show no discipline in your eating habits, right? But you're spiritual. You got perfect attendance. And then some of y'all can be so fucking physically fit, right? But mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, you're fucking toxic, right? And you need to really sit through and process some of these hurts and these emotional pains and the trauma that you had in your life. Because even though you're doing something positive, like exercising on a regular basis, it's still it's still an avoidant habitual habit. Yes, it's more positive. It's a lot more positive than going to the vices, than drinking and doing other things. But as humans, we're always going to try and do things, right, to fill the gap of when we actually have to sit there in our emotions and really face ourselves, right? It's so uncomfortable to have to face your inner self, all the shit you've been through, to literally just stop. We want to just keep distracting ourselves, doing things so that we don't actually have to sit there and be like, wow, right? I've been through a lot. I've been hurt. I've hurt people, and I want to heal. And when you start to really give yourself that space and that time, it's a beautiful thing, but it's not easy. And you got to figure out when you're ready to start, because I can't tell you to start right now. I wish you would, because the sooner you start, right, the greater your opportunity is to really start turning your life around, right? Because we ain't guaranteed tomorrow. We ain't guaranteed next year. We don't know what the fuck's to come. So to inspire people to say, now's the time, quit pushing it off. But you have to start from an honest place. And if you have a hard time having an honest conversation with yourself, reach out to me, right? I'll give anybody a free, honest conversation. Man, sit down. We talk life, right? I love talking life with other human beings, not with judgment, right? Not being critical, right? But really being vulnerable and curious and understanding, to say, hey, let's have a conversation about what the fuck you've been through. And I'm grateful for those of you that have reached out to me for that very thing. Because that takes a freaking warrior's energy, a warrior mindset, to say, you know what? I need help. I can't do this. I can't figure it out. I can't get past the blockades of my emotional state of being. And I am not a psychologist, psychiatrist, right? I'm just someone that has been along the same type of path of life and has overcome a lot. And I continue to overcome. I continue to put in the work because every single day, my starting point is right there in positiveness, mindfulness, journaling, reflecting, desiring to set up a better day today than what was yesterday, right? And it's wash, rinse, and repeat. It's saying I want to monitor my nutrition because I want to eat clean, because I want to feel good about myself. I believe my health is my wealth. It's wanting to improve and be open to learning new things, trying new things, and making a difference in this world. All of these things are my starting point each and every day. But I got to be honest with myself. When I fucked up yesterday, I got to own that shit. I got to make amends, right? And I got to challenge myself to say, hey, I could do things better. Because that's who I'm competing against. That's who you're competing against, who you were yesterday. And it starts right now. But you got to be honest with yourself, right? If you're just bullshitting yourself, wishing you were better, thinking you're hot shit, but you ain't shit, right? You ain't going to go anywhere until you get honest with who the fuck you have become. Knowing that once you get to that starting point, you can start mapping out a route to a new, better version of yourself. And that's what I'm doing here today, trying to inspire you to at least take that first step. Finish the starting line, because you know the drill. Results kill excuses. It's all on me.